My name is Jake, and I've spent the better part of my life on the road, the hum of my rig's engine a constant companion, the endless stretch of asphalt a second home. There's a rhythm to the highway, a predictability that lulls you into a false sense of security, until the night something breaks that rhythm, something that shouldn't be there, something that defies the laws of the open road. It happened on a desolate stretch of I-80, somewhere between nowhere and nothing. The kind of place where the darkness feels heavier, like it's pressing against the windows of your cab, waiting for you to let your guard down. I was running on fumes, my eyes gritty from lack of sleep, the coffee in my thermos long gone cold, when I first saw her, a figure standing at the edge of the shoulder, her silhouette stark against the gloom, her dress fluttering in a wind I couldn't. At first I thought she was a hitchhiker, some poor soul stranded in the middle of the night, but as my headlights swept over her, I realized she wasn't waving for help. She was perfectly still, her arms limp at her sides, her face tilted toward me, and even from a distance I could see her eyes, black pits that swallowed the light, fixed on me with an intensity that made my stomach clench. I told myself to keep driving, to ignore the chill creeping up my spine, but then she moved, her body jerking forward in a way that wasn't human, her limbs twisting as she lurched toward the road, and before I could react she was gone, vanished into the dark as if she'd never been there at all. I convinced myself it was fatigue, a trick of the light, but the knocking started an hour later, a slow, deliberate tap-tap-tap against the side of my trailer, like someone was running their fingers along the metal. I cranked up the radio to drown it out, but the static only twisted into a voice, a whisper that slithered through the speakers, saying my name in a way that made my blood run. The temperature in the cab plummeted, my breath fogging in the air, and when I glanced at the passenger seat, she was there. Her fingers curled around the edge of the leather, her head tilting toward me with a sickening crack, her lips peeling back in a grin that showed too many teeth. "You should have stopped," she breathed, her voice like gravel and decay, and that's when I lost control, the wheel jerking in my hands, the world spinning as my rig careened off the road. The last thing I remember is the sound of metal tearing, the shriek of something that wasn't human, and her laughter echoing in my ears as the darkness swallowed me whole. They found my truck the next morning, overturned in a ditch, the trailer ripped open from the inside. They never found me, but if you're ever driving late at night, and you see a woman in a white dress standing on the side of the road, don't make the same mistake I did. Don't keep driving, because some things don't let you go once they've got their hooks in you, and the road has a way of claiming what's hers. They tell me I was unconscious for 3 days after the crash. Woke up in some no-name hospital with tubes in my arms and a cop at my bedside asking questions I couldn't answer. My rig was totaled, they said. The trailer looked like something had clawed its way out from the inside. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was when the nurse came in to change my fourth, she had the same hollow black eyes. I screamed so loud they had to sedate me. When I woke again, everything seemed normal. The doctors chalked it up to trauma, gave me some pills, and sent me on my way with a bus ticket home. I should have known it wasn't over. The dream started first. Every night I'd be back in that cab, watching her crawl across the passenger seat toward me, her fingers leaving rotten smears on the dash. Up choking on the smell of wet earth and diesel, my sheets soaked through with sweat. Then the radio in my apartment began picking up that same static whisper, always at 3:17 a.m. exactly. "Jake, you left me behind. Last week I got a call from the trucking company, said they'd recovered my rig from the junkyard, wanted to know if I wanted my personal effects. I told them to burn it. That night I found a mud-caked sundress folded neatly on my doorstep. Now I see her everywhere, in the reflection of diner windows when I stop for coffee, standing under streetlights in the rain, sitting in the back of Greyhound buses, those black eyes watching me through the rows of seats. She's getting close. I'm writing this from a payphone outside a rest stop in Nebraska. My hands won't stop shaking. There's a woman in a white dress standing at the edge of the parking lot, just beyond the streetlight's glow. She's not moving, just waiting. The payphone keeps cutting in and out with that same static whisper, "Time to come home, Jake. I think I finally understand. There's no outrunning this. The road always collects what it's owed. If you're reading this, do me a favor. Next time you're driving late at night and your CB crackles with static, don't answer. And if you see a rig with a caved-in front grille and claw marks along its trailer, keep driving, don't stop. I'm writing this in the driver's seat of a stolen Peterbilt. My hands shaking so bad I can barely grip the pen. The rest stop payphone was still whispering my name when I ran to this truck, its key still dangling in the ignition like it was waiting for me. Maybe it was. The fuel gauge reads full, but the odometer stuck at 666,666 miles. She's in the sleeper cab behind me. I can hear her nails scraping against the curtain divider. It started raining an hour ago. Thick black drops that streak across the windshield like oil. The radio won't turn off now, just cycles through CB channels where dozens of voices all whisper the same thing. Almost home, Jake. My reflection in the rearview mirror isn't mine anymore. The eyes looking back at me are black pits, my skin graying like week old. We just passed a mile marker that reads hell. 1 mile. The road ahead doesn't match my atlas. The asphalt's turned to some kind of fleshy membrane that pulses under the tires. The white lines are finger bones. The streetlights are hung from gallows poles. She's singing now. It's the same lullaby my mother used to sing when I was a kid. Her voice comes from the radio, from the engine, from inside my own skull. The curtain behind me rustles. Something wet drips through the fabric onto my shoulder. I think I always knew how this would end. Ever since that first night, part of me's been riding shotgun to this horror, watching through splayed fingers as my life became someone else's ghost story. The Jake who climbed into his rig 2 weeks ago died in that ditch. What's left is just the vehicle now, carrying her to where she needs to. The headlights just illuminated a roadside diner up ahead. The neon sign flickers last stop. There are shadow figures inside, all turned toward the windows, waiting. The brakes don't work anymore. The wheels lock straight, the curtains opening. God help me. I can feel her breath on my neck. If you're reading this, if by some miracle this notebook is found, remember this. The road doesn't just take truckers. It takes everyone who ignores their gut when it says something's wrong. That hitchhiker with their thumb out at 3 a.m.? The gas station attendant who smiles with too many teeth? The detour sign that wasn't there yesterday? Don't stop. Don't loot. The notebook was found duct-taped to the steering wheel of an abandoned Peterbilt at a truck stop outside Flagstaff. The engine was still running when they found it, idling smooth as fresh oil despite the fuel gauge reading empty for 3 days straight. The cab smelled like old blood and diesel, and roses. Always fucking roses at the end. I'm not Jake. My name's Martinez. I drove team with him back in '09. Found this notebook in my mailbox yesterday with no postmark, just my name written in what I hope was red ink. The pages keep changing. New entries appear when I'm not looking. The ink bleeds sometimes, forming words I don't want to read. Jake's rig turned up again last night, parked behind my usual spot at the Denver yard. No plates, no VIN, just those same claw marks along the trailer and a fresh coat of mud splashed up the sides like it just came from some backcountry road that doesn't exist. The padlock was broken from the a Motel 6 outside Cheyenne. The TV won't stop showing static, but sometimes a woman's face appears in the snow. She's mouthing words I can almost understand. The bathroom faucet just started running black water that smells like a freshly dug grave. My CB keeps picking up a channel that isn't on the dial. Just breathing, and that same whisper, Martinez. You remember that night in Bakersfield? I do remember. God help me, I remember now. That hitchhiker we didn't pick up in 11. The one in the white dress who kept pace with our rig for miles. Her bare feet kicking up dust as she matched our speed at 65 miles per hour. The way she smiled when we finally hit the gas and left her behind. The motel door just unlocked itself. Hallway lights are flickering. Something's dripping on the welcome mat outside. Jake's last entry was wrong about one thing. The road doesn't just take truckers. It takes everyone who's ever sped past something unnatural and told themselves it was just fatigue. Everyone who's ever ignored the shape in their backseat mirror. Everyone who's ever laughed off a friend's ghost story. She's knocking now. Not on the door, on the window. From the notebook keeps appearing. In my glove box, under motel pillows, taped to diesel pumps in the dead of night. The pages never run out. Every time I tear one out, 2 more appear, filled with new handwriting I don't recognize. Some entries are from drivers I knew. Rodriguez, O'Connell, that kid Schneider who disappeared near the Utah salt flats last winter. all telling the same story in different words. I tried burning it. The flames turned blue and cold, and next morning it was back in my rig, smelling of roses and wet earth. The rules are becoming clear. Never acknowledge the whispers on the CB. Don't look at your reflection after. Goes a route through Blackwater, Arizona. That town burned down in '78 when the roses smell strongest. She's in your blind spot. My rig's developing quirks. The odometer rolls backward now. The sleeper cab's always colder than it should be. Sometimes when I wake up, there are muddy footprints leading from the bunk to the driver's seat. My own hands on the wheel look unfamiliar in the dawn light, paler with black grit under the nails. I'm being rewritten. The other night at a way station, I watched my reflection wink at me while I washed my face. When I blinked, it was gone, but the mirror stayed fogged up, 2 handprints slowly appearing like someone was pressing against the other side. They're finding more trucks, always empty, always idling, always with that same notebook duct taped to the wheel. The latest was McCready's rig, been missing since the blizzard of '99. Parked neat as you please at his widow's driveway, engine warm, a fresh coffee still steaming in the cup holder. The moon's been wrong lately, too large, too close. The stars aren't where they should be. I keep seeing the same constellations forming a woman's face. I passed Jake last week on I-40, or what used to be Jake. His rig glowed faintly in the dark, those same claw marks now pulsing like veins across the trailer. When our headlights crossed, I saw him smiling too wide in the cab, those black eyes shining as he mouthed, "Almost your turn." The exit signs have started showing distances to places that don't exist. Last night I saw one for Penance, 12 miles. The off-ramp led into a tunnel of weeping willows, their branches scraping my roof like She's in the bunk right now. I can hear the mattress springs creaking. The smell of roses is so thick I'm tasting petals. This will be my last entry. The notebook knows. The pages are growing warmer, the edges starting to blacken and curl like they're in some invisible flame. To whoever finds this, check your mirrors, watch your odometer, and when your radio suddenly goes silent between stations, that's when. The final page ice burned along the edges, but the last legible line reads, "The road doesn't end, it just becomes her road now." The notebook won't let me stop writing. My fingers bleed ink now. The pages regenerate faster than I can fill them. Last night I woke to find 7 new entries in handwriting that matches my grandfather's, a man who drove tankers in '53 and disappeared near the Nevada test site. His account of a woman in a radiation suit standing where no human should survive. It mirrors what I'm seeing now. The transformation accelerates. My logbook shows deliveries I never made to towns that don't exist. My dot number keeps changing to sequences that trace back drivers. This morning I found a faded Polaroid in my wallet, me and Jake standing by our rigs at some truck stop, except the date on the photo is 1978, and neither of us were born yet. In the background, a woman in a white dress watches from the diner window. Her reflection isn't looking at the camera. It's looking at present me through the photo. The highways are wrong. Sometimes I'll take an exit only to find myself passing the same abandoned church 3 times. The mile markers count down from 66 to 0, then start again. Truck stops appear where maps show empty desert, staffed by clerks who never blink and serve coffee that tastes like grave dirt. I've started recognizing the other drivers on CB Channel 19. McCready's voice crackles through with storm warnings every night at 3:17 a.m. Jake still asks about football scores from seasons that haven't happened yet. Rodriguez warns about a black rig that's been tailgating him since 0. We're all trapped in the same loop, reliving each other's nightmares across decades. The roses have taken root in my cab. Tiny buds push through the air vents, their petals black at the edges. When I pluck them, they bleed something thick and dark that evaporates by dawn. The smell is unbearable now, like funeral flowers left too long in a sealed room. She's teaching me things. In my dreams, I walk highways that spiral like a nautilus shell, converging on a single point where a great black rig idles eternally. Its trailer pulses like a living thing, its exhaust smells of burning hair, and its license plate reads, Ouroboros. The driver's seat holds only a wedding dress made of asphalt and diesel sludge. This morning I found the first claw mark on my own forearm. 3 parallel gashes that weep black oil. They don't hurt. Nothing hurts anymore. The road took that first. My memories. Now it's taking my shape. The notebook says I'll reach the final way station tonight. The one with the single flickering light. The one where the inspectors wear rotting wedding veils and their scales always read overload. I can hear her buckling into the passenger seat. The roses are singing. The radio just announced my arrival in a town called Epilogue. The next page shows only a hand-drawn map of Interstate 666, with a single red 10 marking a rest stop that moves when. You tilt the paper. Every mirror in the cab now reflects a different decade's version of the driver, all mouthing the same words, "Welcome." The notebook closes itself now. The pages have all gone blank except for one phrase that appears whenever I try to write, "No more stories left to tell." I pulled into the final truck stop at dawn. Not a building, just a single pump island glowing under buzzing sodium lights, surrounded by hundreds of idling rigs with their headlights on, every one a ghost I recognize. McCready's tanker, Jake's beat-up Freightliner, Rodriguez's blue Kenworth with the broken wing mirror. Their cabs sit empty, radios whispering static lullabies. The pump attendant wasn't human, never was. She stood there in her grease-stained wedding dress, holding a nozzle that dripped black fluid. No face left, just a hollow where the roses grow through. When she spoke, it came from every CB. "Time to choose, sweetheart. Driver's seat or passenger side?" I looked at my rig one last time. The roses had fully claimed it, petals bursting through the upholstery, thorns curling around the gearshift. My logbook had rewritten itself into an endless loop of the same delivery: load, one soul. Destination, the road. I took the keys from my pocket. They'd gone cold as a grave marker. That's when I understood the secret every dead driver knows too late. The road doesn't forgive. But sometimes, if you listen close, you can still hear the living singing along with their radios, voices bright and unafraid as they speed through the night. I left the engine running. The last page bears only a set of freshly muddy footprints leading away from the truck, and a single line scribbled in an unfamiliar hand, "New driver on channel 19. Sounds almost like you." Somewhere a radio clicks on. Tires hum against pavement. A woman whistles an old country song through static. And far away, very far away, a trucker who isn't you anymore, shifts gears and merges back into